And now, it's Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on CL 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Gray.
The Vancouver Whitecaps walked into tonight's matchup knowing their fate. It was pretty simple. Win the game and you're in. There was a chance that the Whitecaps could have lost and got into the Major League Soccer playoffs, but Portland did the unthinkable. They beat FC Dallas down in Frisco, Texas, so it meant that the pressure was back on the Whitecaps. They needed a win, and it took a while. Tense moments. Halftime, scoreless. But then the big man, Kendall Waston, coming up huge with a beastly header off a corner kick. It gives the Whitecaps a 1-0 lead. They would not relinquish it. They win. And now they will face FC Dallas down in Texas on Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, the kickoff time. The knockout round of the MLS playoffs. The winner of that game will host MLS Supporter Shield winners Seattle Sounders FC next weekend. Vancouver sports has taken a big upturn today with actually the Lions clinching a playoff berth as well. But all eyes on the Vancouver Whitecaps on Wednesday night. It should be very, very exciting. Meanwhile, over in Europe, great game between Real Madrid and Barcelona. Manchester City lose to West Ham, of all teams. Borussia Dortmund continue to struggle, and Southampton still on a high. Good evening and welcome to Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk here on CL 650. We are broadcasting in the Barber & Co. studios. My name is Tyler Green. On Twitter at Tyler Green FC. We are also available online at cl650.com. Thank you for listening. You can also watch the program at cl650.com. The first half kickoff is brought to you by KO, Kevin O'Toole, and findaproperty.ca. He's got a great new one-bedroom and bath place looking over Falls Creek. It's at the Regatta. It's an exclusive booking at findaproperty.ca, and that's where you can find it. Kevin O'Toole, licensed realtor with Prudential Sussex Realty. A Whitecaps fan, you can find him online at findaproperty.ca. Vancouver Whitecaps in the playoffs. It's a good feeling. The city is electric. It's funny, I'm actually on Twitter seeing a bunch of people that I know who aren't exactly Whitecaps fans, but are getting into it and are actually saying that they're really looking forward to the game on Wednesday for that knockout round. Again, it's a 6 o'clock start down in Texas against FC Dallas. Vancouver hasn't had the greatest chances or the greatest luck down in Texas. Maybe now's finally the time to change all of that. It's possible. They don't do well there. Maybe this time is the time. Heading into tonight's matchup, Carl Robinson, he changed the lineup slightly, some out of necessity, other out of choice. He went back to Sebastian Fernandez. Darren Maddox was in. Eric Hurtado was out. Kekuta Mane was out. But it really wasn't until Kekuta Mane came into the match that the Whitecaps started looking extremely dangerous and threatening offensively. Mane putting one off the woodwork. Pedro Morales stepping up, putting one just over the bar. So it does bring us to tonight's Barber Poll. It is presented by barberandco.ca. Our friends over at Barber & Co. 5 locations to serve you. But the Barber Poll tonight, who should be in the starting 11 for the Whitecaps on Wednesday? Does Darren Maddox, did he do enough to earn a spot? Should Kekuta Mane simply stay in there? Steven Beitashour, he might not be able to play with that hamstring injury that he picked up today. So do you put Sam Adekubi on the left and Jordan Harvey on the right? Or do you bring in Ethan Sampson and play him on the right side? A lot of questions for the Vancouver Whitecaps and head coach Carl Robinson to mull over in the next few days. Tweet us your thoughts with the hashtag Barber Poll on Twitter at SoccerTalk650 or Tyler Green FC. You can also email us at soccertalk650@gmail.com or give us a buzz tonight at 604-280-0650. Weigh in on the Barber Poll on our Facebook page as well, facebook.com/SoccerTalkVan. And don't forget, when you're on the page, to hit like. The Barber Poll is brought to you by Barber & Co., Gastown, Yaletown, the Financial District, Cambie and 18th in the new location, the corner of Main and 12th. I was there this week getting the hair lopped off. Eric Hurtado was there earlier this week getting a star shaved into his head. Russell Tybert also getting his hair done earlier this week. In my 24 Hours Alternative Whitecaps Awards, Russell brought the best haircut, the David Beckham Award for service to barbers. Eric Hurtado, well, he got the award for terrible hair. Also with the Whitecaps, tickets are now on sale for the Western Conference semifinals, should the Caps make it that far. But tickets are on sale right now. People are always talking about the fact that the Whitecaps need to take down the tarps, open up the second level, but take down the tarps, open up more seating. Well, here's the opportunity. The Whitecaps have done their bit. They've made the playoffs. Now, they still have a little bit to do. They need to beat Dallas to make it to that match. But hey, fans have been talking about wanting to get rid of the tarps. So now here's their opportunity to get tickets in the next couple of days, sell out BC Place early, and force the Whitecaps to open up more space and fill the lower deck. Start with the lower deck and then work your way up. Prove them. Show them that they should, in fact, take those tarps down for the second half, for that first leg against Seattle, should the Whitecaps get there. I posed the question earlier this week after the Kansas City Royals beat San Francisco in the second game of the World Series, whether Jeff Mallett would make it up for this important Whitecaps game, as he's an owner in both. The answer? Yes. Jeff Mallett in attendance at BC Place Stadium tonight. Catching an early flight, I imagine, back to San Francisco tomorrow morning to make it there with his team, the Giants, putting together a nice effort tonight. Elsewhere in Canadian soccer's sports, the Canadians women's national team, they played in Edmonton earlier today, losing 3-0 to Japan. Looked good through most of the first half in that one, but Japan, the better side overall, showed why they are so good, one of the top 5 countries in the world. Canada's biggest issue is still depth. They get another chance against Japan on Tuesday night when both squads come to Vancouver to play at BC Place Stadium. We'll talk about that match today and how Canada is looking with Harjeet Johal, better known as Har Journalist on Twitter. That's coming up in about, in just a few minutes' time here. We'll do that next. The starting 11 is usually at 10:10, but we're going to postpone that as Simon Fudge is down at BC Place Stadium, still waiting for the Whitecaps locker room to open up, talk to a few players. So we'll be doing that at 10:30 this evening. right here on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on CL 650 Radio in Vancouver. And get into Kia Vancouver right now. Free lifetime oil changes, car washes, and get this, free lifetime airport parking and shuttle service. It's only at BC's #1 Kia dealership, 396 Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, KiaVancouver.com. Goal.com writer and Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk contributor Simon Fudge and I will debate the starting 11 at 10:30. But up next, our journalist talks Canadian women's national team next.
Follow us on Twitter at Soccer Talk 650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on CL 650.
What do you want?
A balcony so high it looks down into soccer matches at BC Place.
A pub I can walk to with a dozen big screens.
Kevin O'Toole has created findaproperty.ca to help you find it. Designed to be simply straightforward, findaproperty.ca is an invaluable tool. That's Kevin O'Toole, Prudential Sussex Realty, for buyers and sellers in the greater Vancouver area like you. So find what you want
A backyard big enough for my own soccer pitch.
at findaproperty.ca.
Not that your stylist at the salon isn't doing a good job, but man, you deserve the big red leather barber chair experience of Barber & Co. Here's how it works. Go to barberandco.ca. Book your appointment at one of the 5 barber shops in Gastown, Yaletown, the Financial District, Cambie at 18th, and now Main Street and 12th Avenue. You can just walk in, too, and get your hair cut, hot shave, buzz cut, fade, or beard trim experience. A great wedding party idea, too. barberandco.ca.
Pain or injury slowing you down? Take it to the choice of many top athletes, Expert Physio. Serving the Lower Mainland for over 35 years, the team at Expert Physio is dedicated to individualized care with specialized services such as orthotics, acupuncture, IMS, plus dizziness, pelvic floor, and certified hand therapies. Over 300 physicians referred to Expert Physio last year, and 100% of patients surveyed said they'd choose Expert Physio again. You're in good hands with Expert Physio. Burnaby Heights or at 8 Rinks, expertphysio.ca.
Sold in over 70 countries, Italy's signature white wine is Santa Margherita's Pinot Grigio. And here in Canada, it's the #1 selling 750ml bottle. Santa Margherita's Pinot Grigio is also the only wine sold in Canada to be carbon zero certified. This means the environmental impact of its production has been offset by investment in environmental initiatives. After all, exceptional wine can only be made in an exceptional setting. Outstanding quality, sustainable production. Santa Margherita Pinot Grigio. Available at BC liquor stores.
Some see a leader.
I will never, ever give up until this city is freed first from the terrible shackles of marijuana prohibition.
Some see a criminal.
This was a guy who didn't just break the law, he flouted the law.
He sees a hero.
I brought more to this world than almost anybody else alive.
Mark Emery, a man with the power to roll into a joint and blow hard. Citizen Mark, in theaters till October 30th in New West.
Follow us on Twitter at Soccer Talk 650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on CL 650. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
Whitecaps won. Colorado Rapids 0. The Whitecaps are off to the playoffs in fine form. Speaking of fine form, visited Dayton Boots earlier this week to check out my boots being made. And hey, if you mention Kia Vancouver, you get 10% off quality handcrafted right here in BC. Dayton Boots, 2250 East Hastings, DaytonBoots.com. So to come on the program, we'll speak with David Sandals of Expert Physio to talk injuries. Stephen Beitasher, he went down with a hamstring injury. How long could he be out of action? That's at 10 p.m. tonight. Whitecaps chat a little later on in the program with Simon Fudge. Plus, we'll hear from some different Whitecaps folks, including Kendall Waston, the hero tonight with his game-winning goal, and the head coach, Carl Robinson. It's coming up a little bit later on the program. But first, Canada's women played Japan today in a friendly in Edmonton. So Harjeet Johal is going to join us in a moment for the Kia Vancouver showroom interview. Right now, Kia Vancouver offering free oil changes, car washes, and airport parking and shuttle service. only at BC's #1 Kia dealership, Kia Vancouver, 396 Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, KiaVancouver.com. And joining us now is Harjeet Johal on Twitter at Hard Journalist. She writes for Equalizer Soccer and Red Nation Online. And she's on the phone from Edmonton. Har, thanks for joining us once again.
Hey, Tyler. Thanks for having me back on.
Now, I want to get into, obviously, this the Canada game from earlier today. It was a 3-0 loss to Japan. What did you see out of this game in general terms that, just about the way that Canada played?
I thought they got rid of the early jitters right after the opening goal by Japan in the 9th minute. It took a while for them to settle in, but, they stuck with Japan in the first half. The possession was fairly balanced. They had a couple of scoring chances. Melissa Tancredi had the header that just went wide. She was onside on that play. And in first half stoppage time, Christy Sinclair had a great chance on the left flank. And the Japanese goalkeeper was able to come out and catch the ball and make a save. So they hung well with Japan in the first half. It was the second half that proved to be their downfall. They did some good stuff early on, and I think their confidence grew as the first half progressed. But, Japan is so strong. The depth that they have is immense, and Canada was not able to keep up with them. And they just, they took Canada apart in the second half, and that's how they scored their second and third goals.
We talked about this before, but, that's the depth of Canada. And we've seen that, Japan is a team that has a lot of depth. We've seen Germany that has a lot of depth. And then in that Germany game, Canada makes those switches, and it kind of goes downhill from there. And we saw them play so well, and then the substitutes come on here for Canada today. And, again, they kind of get behind the 8 ball. Is the depth there for Canada just yet, or is that something that we're trying to figure out here over the next couple of games and really over the next few months?
Well, the depth it's certainly not there for Canada. You can tell by watching the game against Germany that was in Vancouver last spring. You can tell by watching today's game against Japan. Some of the reasons why Canada has brought in these young players like Sarah Yeka, Jessie Fleming, Kenesha Buchanan, Ashley Lawrence, it's because they don't have depth. They're trying to see if these young players are good enough to fit in and help grow and help develop the Canadian team and sink in with the older players and the veterans. The depth is not there. They can't compete with Germany, Japan, and the United States for a full 90 minutes. It just catches up with them in the second half. Those other teams, they can roll out players when they get tired. They can bring on new substitutions. And for Canada, it's just not there yet. I think in time, it definitely will get there. These players are still learning to play with each other. That's why they have the residency in Vancouver. That's why they have these friendly matches to work on the kinks, to develop chemistry, and so that when the World Cup comes around in June, they're ready. They can give their best performance against the best teams in the world.
Do you think that these players, these young players, can get there for Canada, or is it still too early to tell?
Well, it's $1 million question, Tyler, and I don't think we have the answer yet. It's tough to see if that's something that's going to happen. Jessie Fleming, she's only 16 years old. Mm-hmm. She has 5 caps for Canada, and John has always said, if you're good enough, you're old enough. I think he is going to take a few teenagers on that World Cup roster, and some veterans, they could definitely be pushed out the door and not representing Canada on June 6th. So time will tell. These young players, they have to get better. I think they will, but still quite a long road to go before the World Cup starts.
We're speaking with Harjeet Johal, better known as Hard Journalist on Twitter. She also writes for Equalizer Soccer as well as Red Nation Online here on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk. She is our women's soccer insider with the Canadian women's national team, and she's in Edmonton tonight after catching the game. The game today, one player that really stood out was Alicia Chapman. She was named the Canadian Player of the Match. Could she be that answer down the left side for Canada, where it's been a little bit of an issue trying to find somebody over on that side?
Yeah, that's what Canada's hoping for. They brought in Chapman as well as Sarah Yeka, and this was Chapman's first start for her first cap with the senior national team, and she had some very good moments. She had some up and down moments. On that first Japan goal, she was caught up the field, but towards the end of the first half, she set up Sinclair on the left flank for her opportunity. So Chapman played really well. She showed that she can get up and down the pitch. We'll have to see if Sarah Yeka gets the opportunity to play for Canada on Tuesday in Vancouver. They're trying out players, so we don't know who's going to be that left back in June. Marie-Eve No could be in there. They can move the center back over there. There's a lot of different options, but for today, Chapman played very well. She was the player of the match when a lot of players for Canada did not have their best overall game.
Now, scoring is always going to be an issue with Canada because it's Christine Sinclair, and then it's, well, who else can score? And I think teams are probably really going to focus on Sinclair and try to stop her from scoring goals. And if that happens, who is that goal scoring going to fall upon?
Yeah, they may have to put up some wanted posters around the country because they're looking for a duo, someone they can pair with Christine Sinclair who can take a bit of pressure off Sinclair and help score some goals herself and draw some attention so that they're open and then they can score for Canada so Christine doesn't have to. Janelle Felino, she's a candidate to get that opportunity. Jose Belanger, she's been back with the team for about a year. She's one of the quickest players on the team, a great dribbler, terrific shot. She could certainly do that as well. Adriana Leon from Ontario. There's a lot of different options. Of course, we all know Melissa Tancredi. With her age, I don't know how durable she is and if she can play that many games in a short amount of time. Brittany Baxter, who's not on the roster for this series, she could be an option down the line as well. So they're trying out a lot of players to see who is the best fit with Christine. Today, they went with a 4-2-3-1 formation, Tancredi up top, and she was supported by Sinclair and Belanger on the wings with Sophie Schmidt behind Melissa. So there's a lot of different options, a lot of tactics that John Herdman's working out to see what's the best fit, what's the best match to help Christine take some pressure off her shoulders and help this overall team score with a more balanced attack.
We're speaking with Harji Johal, better known as Hard Journalist on Twitter. She also writes for Equalizer Soccer and Red Nation Online. You're listening to Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk here on CL 650. My name's Tyler Green. And Har, when you look at this team, just in our conversation here alone, it really seems like there is a good basis on this Canadian squad, but there are just a lot of question marks right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks, and for right now, we don't have all the answers. We saw at the London Olympics, those question marks were there as well. And, they caught fire, they got on a roll, and they won bronze. That could certainly happen. I'm not saying that it will, but, this team's going to have to come together, and they're doing that. That's why they're in residency. That's why John has brought in 33 players to see who's the best fit, who's going to represent Canada. They've got a friendly on Tuesday, as we know. They've got other friendlies that are not announced. John Herdman would like the team to play 12 matches before the World Cup kicks off. So there's certainly lots of opportunity to do some fine-tuning, to see what fits, what works, what tactics, and what style they want to employ against the world. So it's certainly an exciting time in women's soccer, and it's certainly an exciting time to be covering the Canadian team.
Har, we know that Lauren Sesselman is one of those players that is injured for Canada. What's the timeline on her? I know that she's expected back before the World Cup. Is there going to be enough time for her to get back and in proper condition to compete for that World Cup?
Yes, she did her ACL in at the Cyprus Cup this past March. Now, the timetable for her return is the upcoming Cyprus Cup in March 2015. So I do believe she will get back early spring. I think she will play a few games, some friendlies. Obviously, they want to ease her back within the team. You don't want to see a Carol Lang situation where she comes back too early and just isn't ready. Lauren Sesselman is a very important a very integral part to the Canadian back four. Ideally, they'd like to pair her with Kadisha Buchanan, the 18-year-old, in a central defender pairing with Rhiannon Wilkinson on the right backside and an unknown question mark on the left backside. So Sessamon, she's a big part of the team. She is in residency. I have seen her out at 40th BC, so she's training. She's strengthening her knee. She's trying to get back as soon as possible and to see if she can contribute with this team. I think she will. I think she'll be back. I think she'll make the roster for the World Cup, and I think she's an important part that Canada needs healthy and playing at her top level.
We're speaking with Harjeet Johal here on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk. You can follow her on Twitter at HarJournalist. She writes for Equalizer Soccer and Red Nation Online. We didn't see a number of players in this game earlier today in Edmonton. Who do we expect to see play in Vancouver at BC Place Stadium on Tuesday?
It sounds like John's going to make a few changes. He said that in his press conference. With the friendly rule, I believe you're allowed to make 6 substitutions, so he's going to use all those substitutions. And I think Desiree Scott's going to start. I can't confirm that. I would be surprised if BC native Emily Zurr didn't start. I think she will. And John has confirmed that Stephanie Labbe will be in net for that match on Tuesday. Erin McLeod played today. She was brilliant when she was left out to dry and had a lot of work to do. So there's going to be changes. We just don't know what. You will obviously see Christine Sinclair out there and a few of the mainstays like Sophie Schmidt. So we'll have to see what tactics and what formation he comes up with. Obviously, both teams want to test out some players and new formations, so I think there'll be a lot of changes for both sides.
Finally, Japanese coach Norio Sasaki saying that if they can get used to playing on the artificial turf, that they think they might be able to handle it well for the World Cup next year. Has that been a talking point at all leading up or after the match, other than Sasaki's comments today?
That's a great point you got there, Tyler. I'm not sure how you found that out, but yeah, the turf, it's always been a talking point. There's always one or two reporters in the scrum or the press conference that wants to bring that up and needle away at it. You know, it's an ongoing thing. There's still no final solution or resolution from the lawsuit that was filed. FIFA, Canada Soccer, they've always maintained that they're going to use artificial turf. And until something comes in, until something is said, they're going to play on grass. I would definitely book that they're going to play on artificial turf. A lot of these players in other countries, you know, they're realizing that, yeah, we have to get used to artificial turf because that's what the surface is going to be. We need to use these games to adapt, to prepare, to be able to play our best on this type of surface. So I think as soon as those players and individuals have filed the lawsuit, as soon as they stop squawking and beaking about the turf and getting more used to it, adapting to it, and playing on it, I think that's going to be their best way to succeed at the World Cup. It's a big topic, as you know. The players are tired about talking about it. I am tired about talking about it and reporting on it. So hopefully it dies down soon.
She is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talks Canadian Women's National Team Insider, Harjeet Johal, and you find all those good tidbits at HarJournalist on Twitter. Har, thanks again for joining us, and we'll talk again very soon. The game on Tuesday night, you'll be covering it here at BC Place Stadium in Vancouver, and of course we'll get you on again down the road here to talk some more Canadian women's soccer.
All right, thanks for having me on, Tyler. We'll see you and Fudge later on. Cheers.
Yes, indeed, and thanks again, Har, for joining us. She's in Edmonton, and she will be covering the game. HarJournalist is where to follow her. Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk, the Fantasy League contest presented by Umbro Canada. It's the final weekend for the race for the title. Who will claim it? Get the details at facebook.com/soccertalkvan and get us your info. If you're in the running to win it all, email us, soccertalk650@gmail.com. Umbro, proud to be the official supplier of Canada's men's and women's national teams, celebrating 90 years of expertise in the game. If you want your club to play like the pros, dress them like the pros. Umbro.com. Umbro, the heart and soul of football. The starting 11 with Simon Fudge. He's at BC Place Stadium. He will join me next on the program. It is starting 11 time.
Follow us on Twitter at Soccer Talk 650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on Sea Isle 650.
The Straight Razor Shave, a leading man classic. Steady hand coaxing the rugged face back to smoothness. This nearly lost art has found revival at Barber & Co. Hot towel, straight edge blade, and your face. It's an experience that reminds you you're alive. You're a man in the company of history's finest men. Start at barberandco.ca. Pick your barber shop in Yaletown, Gastown, the Financial District, Cambiet 18th, and now Main Street and 12th Avenue. And relax into the big leather chair for the shave of your life.
Kia's Gear Up and Save event is on now at Kia Vancouver. So come score on most 2015 models with ultra-low weekly payments and 0% financing for 84 months. Plus, get ready for victory with Kia's available winter-ready features. But hurry, this is a limited-time offer. So gear up and save. And remember, only Kia Vancouver gives you free lifetime car washes, oil changes, and free airport shuttle and parking with your new Kia purchase. Kia Vancouver, Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, and KiaVancouver.com.
Nearly 70 years ago, Charlie Wolford first started fixing loggers' boots. He did such a good job, loggers said if he'd make boots from scratch, they'd buy them and tell their buddies. Charlie named his brand Dayton, and ever since, Dayton Boots has put the same craftsmanship and love in every pair built right here in Vancouver. Times change, but the quality in every handcrafted pair of Dayton boots never has. Mention Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk and take 10% off Dayton Boots, 2250 East Hastings. Dayton, wear a legend that lasts.
Pain or injury slowing you down? Take it to the choice of many top athletes, Expert Physio. Serving the Lower Mainland for over 35 years, the team at Expert Physio is dedicated to individualized care with specialized services such as orthotics, acupuncture, IMS, plus dizziness, pelvic floor, and certified hand therapies. Over 300 physicians referred to Expert Physio last year, and 100% of patients surveyed said they choose Expert Physio again. You're in good hands with Expert Physio. Burnaby Heights or at 8 Rinks, expertphysio.ca.
I love your show. There is a lot of information. It's just fascinating every weekend. I love listening.
This is Tom Lucas. Join Realtor Sherry Brown, mortgage expert Bill Macklem, and me on Radio Real Estate every Saturday morning. Buy, sell, or rent, we cover it all. Radio Real Estate, Saturday mornings at 10 on Smooth and Easy. Sea Isle 650.
The much-awaited warehouse sale is on today and tomorrow, 10 till 5 only.
At Inspiration Furniture's warehouse at 8380 Chester Street in South Van.
Hundreds of items at drastically reduced prices.
Fantastic door crashers.
Everything for dining, living, sleeping, and working at low, low warehouse prices.
Only at Inspiration Furniture's warehouse sale.
And only at their warehouse, 8380 Chester Street, just south of Southeast Marine Drive in Vancouver.
Google it and get here.
You can't miss Inspiration Furniture's warehouse sale. Today and tomorrow, 10 till 5 only.
This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on Sea Isle 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
Caps are in with a 1-0 win over the Rapids. We'll discuss the match in detail shortly, but first, let's check the MLS scores with Simon Fudge, brought to you by Dayton Boots at DaytonBoots.com.
Yes, there was one game last night in the MLS. It was Chicago Fire 2, Houston Dynamo 1. 4 games today. Seattle Sounders win the Supporters' Shield 2-0 over LA Galaxy. It was Montreal 1 against DC United 1. New England Revolution 1, Toronto FC 0. And Dallas losing 2-0 at home to the Portland Timbers that put the pressure on the Whitecaps. They finished 4th as a result. 3 games tomorrow, Columbus against Philly, Chivas USA against San Jose, and Sporting Kansas City against New York Red Bulls.
That was the MLS scoreboard brought to you by Dayton Boots. Mention Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk and take 10% off quality, handcrafted, right here in BC. Dayton Boots, 2250 East Hastings. Dayton Boot, where the legend that lasts. DaytonBoots.com. All right, it is time now when Simon Fudge from Goal.com and my co-host here on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk, you can follow him at SimonFudge74. My name's Tyler Green on Twitter at TylerGreenFC. It is starting 11 time. And we'll start on number 1 The Canadian women lost 3-0 to Japan today in Edmonton in a friendly leading up to next year's World Cup. Simon, was the result a good reflection on how Canada will do next year?
I would say it was, yes. If you look at the top 5 ranked countries in the world in the FIFA Women's World Rankings, USA, Germany, Japan at number 3, France, and Sweden, I just don't see, and I've been saying this quite consistently to a lot of people, including yourself, I don't see Canada being able to beat any one of those top 5 sides in a knockout stage World Cup game next year. There's just not enough quality in John Herdman's side to take on any of those teams. The game that really highlighted it for me was the loss here in the friendly against Germany back in June. And I think today the 3-0 defeat against Japan further underlined that. They just don't have the quality to take those teams on, and I don't see them being able to take them on and overcoming them when the chips are down in a knockout stage game.
I would agree with you that it was something when we talked to Harjeet, Joe Hall, who joined us here just a few minutes ago, about the fact that Canada really lacks a lot of depth. They have those good starting players, and I think for the most part, those starting 11, Canada can run with a lot of those big teams. But we've seen it. We saw that in the Germany game. We saw it earlier today when they make those substitutions. They bring on new players. They just don't have that quality to continue on at that same level, and that's, I think, where they're going to miss it. They also have some scoring issues. Right now they've got Christine Sinclair who can score some goals, but I think a lot of teams have figured that out and are really covering and marking her tightly. And when she doesn't get those opportunities to score, it's pretty dry for the women's team. And, yeah, I think that they're going to be able to maybe, make a little noise, but in the end, they're definitely going to fall short.
Number 2, how good would it look for Major League Soccer to have MLS Cup final played in Seattle in front of 67,000 fans?
It would look absolutely amazing. The field would look terrible because CenturyLink Field, the field looks terrible on TV. But to have that many fans and to be able to pan out to that many fans and show the type of fans that they have and the sheer number of fans would be absolutely amazing. They were about 10,000 short for that game earlier today between them and the LA Galaxy, and I can just imagine that each and every playoff game is going to have huge numbers of fans down there at CenturyLink in Seattle looking for that team to make MLS Cup. And if they do, it's just going to be an absolute crazy, mad place for a team to have to come into and play. And it is going to look so good on TV to have that many people, that many fans, that type of noise. And I think the biggest thing is you're going to see a lot of other countries watching that game and looking at it and saying, wow, they get 67,000 fans to that game. That's amazing. That is definitely now becoming a big league club.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would look very good as well. And like you say, the optics of that many people with that atmosphere would turn a lot of heads just around the world, I think, not just within North America in a sports point of view. And it would just be another major thing to help grow the game and grow this league. Would be because it would be the type of event and thing that would allow it to be able to showcase itself. They'd be able to use that for any other kind of marketing tools going forward for sure.
Number 3 on the starting 11. Who is your favorite to win MLS Cup?
It's going to be Seattle for me. And the reason is because I feel they're going into the playoffs in a real good mood. They had 2 very difficult games here to claim the Supporters' Shield against L.A., and having come from 2-0 down to get a 2-2 draw last week and go on and win today in the return game at CenturyLink Field through Papa's goals, I think they're going in with a very good mood and with a bit of a sense that maybe this time round, as opposed to previous postseason runs, which have always ended up falling short, maybe they can finally get over that hump and finally claim it. So I'm going to say that they're the favorites.
For me, it's still the LA Galaxy, despite the fact that they lost the games or didn't come out with the right results over the last couple of games against Seattle. I still think that they're the favorite. They just seem to know what to do in the playoffs. Add Robbie Keane into the mix there, and that's going to be a team that is going to be unstoppable for me in the playoffs. And Seattle, I still think, has some question marks, and I'll tell you why in the next question.
What do you think of the Whitecaps' chances in the MLS Cup playoffs, number 4?
Well, here's why I don't think that the Seattle Sounders are the favorites to win MLS Cup, is because I think if Vancouver can actually get past FC Dallas on Wednesday, they are going to cause Seattle just a ton of problems. I think Vancouver has what it takes to handle any Major League Soccer team at home at BC Place Stadium. On the road is a different story for the Whitecaps, but if they go into Seattle, I really have the belief that they can knock off Seattle and really shock them. And I still think that, Seattle, I think, is still that, maybe psychologically not quite sure of themselves yet in the playoffs. I like what Vancouver has the ability to do, but it really comes down to that first game, because they could be one and done so easily against a very tough team in Dallas. But if they get past Dallas, I could see them going all the way to the Western Conference Finals.
I would say that their playoff chances are very good as well. I mean, the potential matchup and the sort of line that they've got, their pathway looks very good. The Dallas wild card game, I think, is one that, they've never won at Toyota Park in their history, and they've had tough times playing against Dallas over the years, although they were good here at home against them this year. Not so, but you look at the 3 games they played against the Dallas this year, they were actually pretty good in all 3 of them, more or less, even though you weigh defeat. And I don't think Dallas are coming into these playoffs in very good form. They look very poor tonight against Portland for me. And as you say, it goes into the Seattle series if they do overcome the Texas club, because over 2 legs, I think, you do like Vancouver's chances. They have had Seattle's number for the last year, and I think the fact that there'll be so much expectation on Seattle to finally get it done this year, I really do see them upsetting them big time. And it's a Vancouver side that's got nothing to lose. They're in a good spot, and let's face it, they're actually probably going into this postseason in the best form of any of the teams in there that have made it already.
You're listening to Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk here on CIL 650. My name's Tyler Green. Along with me is Simon Fudge, and right now Kia Vancouver is offering free oil changes, car washes, and airport parking and shuttle service. It's only at BC's #1 Kia dealership, Kia Vancouver, 396 Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon. KiaVancouver.com. As we go to number 5 on the starting 11, Simon, who should win Major League Soccer's MVP this year?
I think it should be. I think this is a player that should be given consideration. He was here very briefly here in Vancouver in early part of 2012. Lee Nguyen of New England. He's been highly influential in terms of making sure the Revs were hot at the right end of an incredibly hot and cold season that they had. And I like the way they're going right now, and I really do fancy them being potentials of coming out of the East in the playoffs. And much of that is because of what he's been able to do for them. He's just been such a huge difference maker. If it's been the goals he scored or the assists that he's created, he really, for me, the way this team of Jay Heaps operates right now, he is the cog in the wheel, and that's why I think he's a worthy MVP candidate.
For me, it's simply going with a guy that's Robbie Keane. That's that's who I'm going with. 19 goals. He has the opportunity to he has 14 assists. He's a guy that does so well with that team in LA, and really makes them go. As much as Landon Donovan is such an important part of that team, it for me is now Robbie Keane's team. He is the guy that makes sure that team is where they are right now. They missed him against Seattle, and I think that Robbie Keane is the guy that should be named the MLS MVP this year.
Number 6, how bad does it look to find out that now Daniil Henry was sold at the start of the season to a club in Europe by Toronto FC and MLS and loaned back to the Reds? Does MLS need to be more transparent?
Yeah, it does look bad. The fact that nobody knew about it, nobody was told about it, it does look pretty bad. It's kind of one of those gross situations in Major League Soccer that you just don't know about anything that's happening. And it's almost, like that kind of a situation where it's like MLS is just doing things to make sure that a team stays competitive or a team is good. It just looks almost like they're rewriting rules at times. It was one thing that, it did look good that Clint Dempsey came back, but it was all this, why did they get Clint Dempsey? Shouldn't somebody else get Clint Dempsey? Oh, wait, okay, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. That rule doesn't matter when he's a national team player or is signed as a DP or what have you. And this is just sort of that another example of just sort of this weird look of okay, well, we sold him, but we didn't want anybody to know because he was going to a different league and was loaned back here. It looks bad. A lot of talk. It looks bad, and it needs to be corrected.
Yeah, I think it looks very bad all around. I mean, it's the type of news that just ends up just leaving too many unanswered questions for too many media, fans, whomever has got an interest in the league. And I think it also it really does put a heavy knock towards the credibility of MLS because it isn't news that came out. It kind of came out well after the fact. They have to do more to be transparent. Because if you tend to find some things out like this or another bit of news that's sort of a little bit more murky and whatnot, people are going to start to say, well, what is a league like MLS and its clubs trying to hide from the general public knowing? And that's not a good kind of perception to leave at the end of the day. So I think for me, they've got to work much harder to be more transparent. And I think particularly with transactions, it doesn't matter when they've been taking place, and it's important that people know about them, not well after the fact.
Number 7 on the starting 11. Simon, who's your pick for MLS Coach of the Year?
I think it's an easy one for me. It's Ben Olsen at DC United. To go from last overall in the league, or certainly last in the Eastern Conference, to first in the East, and now with I think a team that's got a fair shout of also being in the mix to win MLS Cup. What a fantastic turnaround. You'd almost have a sense that knowing probably that he was coming back this season, that he was probably in the midst of much of last year as things were struggling along, of what he had identified and what he needed to do and go out and get players. They were very active in the re-entry draft. They went and signed a number of veteran players that other teams in the league had decided they didn't want to keep, and has really shaped his team around that. And they were also in the Champions League because they won the Open Cup last year, made the most of that. They're now in the last 8. And I just think he has been full value. He's gone and done the type of job he needed to do as a head coach or a manager, and I think he's full value for that honor.
Well, I think that he will probably win it. For me, going from worst to first is in that conference anyway, is with all the allocation money that you get and the ability to spend, that's probably one of the easiest things to do. But to keep a team competitive and improve in a very tough Western Conference is why I think that Ziggy Smith is going to win it, wins the Supporters' Shield, moves his team up, goes on to claim the highest number of wins by a Supporters' Shield winning team. Just so many accolades there for the Seattle Sounders. I think that Schmidt is going to be the guy that should get that award.
Number 8, only 2 Mexican clubs made it to the quarterfinals of the CONCACAF Champions League, the 2014-15 edition. So the knockout stage will go on in the new year. Could this be the first time we see a non-Mexican club win the trophy?
I think so. I think that this is the opportunity for a lot of those other teams to make some noise and to get through and to battle through and get that opportunity to go on and move forward. So I definitely think that this is the time for another team to win it. It's still going to be tough for these teams to knock off some Mexican sides that are extremely, extremely good. But this, for me, is the greatest chance. And really, it just all comes down to percentages. And that's why I think that it'll happen this year.
I think it will in the new year. And it'll be, that's why I think the league has got certainly MLS point of view, they've got to try and get behind DC United and Montreal. In the case of the 2 Mexican clubs, Pachuca have won the trophy 3 straight times. They get Montreal. The second leg will be at home for the Impact, and that's going to be an intriguing time. And Club America will face a team, one of those 3 Costa Rican sides, which are Herediano, Alajuelense, and Herediano Alulense and Saprissa, which is kind of Watson's old club who knocked out KC. And, there's a couple of really interesting matchups in there. And don't forget the Costa Rican clubs have, as I say, prior history of winning the previous incarnation of this tournament. So they're going to be looking to try and get in there. The chances are very high. And for this competition's growth, extremely important that it's a non-Mexican winner in the spring because, again, it goes to people's interest and the sense as well that their club can actually go and win it. If we can finally get one that comes from a country other than Mexico, then the belief will be there, and therefore with it, the interest will go up as well.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see, obviously. And one thing I like about Montreal is the fact that they're going to be able to, one, they're going to lose some players, but with where they finish, they might be able to rebuild a little bit and add some nice pieces with that the ever popular MLS allocation money. Number 9 on the starting 11, Mario Balotelli swapped shirts with Real Madrid's Pepe at halftime during their Champions League match midweek. Was he wrong to do so?
Yeah, he was. It's been done by other players before, but it's another example in the case of Balotelli of his selfish nature. So, yes, it was definitely wrong of him. These types of pleasantries are baffling to me, why you would swap shirts with someone before the game has ended. It's one of the friendly things that you do at the end of a game. And I really hope that there wouldn't be rules that have to be put in place to make that so. But I think it's just sort of a common understanding that should be the case. You shouldn't be doing things until the game is actually over.
You know what? I don't have a problem with it. It's, they do it over in Europe all the time in different games like that. And so I'm not, I don't have a huge problem with it. And for me, it's just another opportunity, I think, for people to go pick on Mario Balotelli and think that he did something wrong again. So I don't have a problem with it. It happens all the time, like you said. It's, for me, not a big deal.
Number 10, in the end, who will ultimately claim the top goal-scoring record in Champions League history, which is currently held by former Real Madrid and Spain striker Raul, Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi?
I think in the end it's going to be Cristiano Ronaldo. I think he's going to be the guy that will break it first, and then I think he will ultimately hold the title at the end of it, and people probably are going to hate that.
Well, I'm going to go with Lionel Messi, but, at the same time, I thought about it, and I think if Messi does it, Ronaldo will run him close. I think it'll actually be a very interesting race because, these are two guys that, particularly if they're in their best form, they find the back of the net on a regular basis, and that's why it could be one that could be one of the more interesting races to watch.
And finally, number 11, which struggling European club is surprising you most with their league play, Simon?
Borussia Dortmund in Germany. Amazing that they're perfect, 3 wins out of 3 in UEFA Champions League, but the time they're having right now in Bundesliga is quite stunning and awful. 4th from bottom, and have only taken 1 point from their last 6 league games. It's hard to understand how it's just night and day with them right now, particularly when we've seen them be just consistent over the time. Are they missing Lewandowski in their side and the other players that have moved on in the last couple of seasons? Very hard to say, but Dortmund's form at home and domestically has been a real surprise.
We're cutting it short. We didn't have a chance to talk about this question before the show, and we agree upon it. Dortmund is just a team that, for me, is just head-scratcher as to why they're struggling so much in league play right now when, like you said, they're doing so well in Champions League. Simon, a quick timeout. When we return, we'll give you all the scores from England, and we'll set up the second half of the program next.
Follow us on Twitter at SoccerTalk650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on CIL 650.
Whether playing soccer on this continent or football on every other, Umbro is the name worn by top players and teams worldwide. Those same uniforms are available for your team or club at Umbro.com. Umbro, proud to be the official supplier of Canada's men's and women's national teams, is celebrating 90 years of expertise in the game. If you want your club to play like the pros, dress them like the pros at Umbro.com. Umbro, the heart and soul of football.
Vancouver Street Soccer League is the beautiful game at its finest. Teams of men and women who are homeless, have recently been homeless, or are at risk for homelessness get together to train and play matches. It's great fun that builds skill and confidence, and the league sent players to 4 consecutive Homeless World Cups in Milan, Rio de Janeiro, Paris, Mexico City, and Poland. Find out more at VancouverStreetSoccer.com.
Vancouver Street Soccer League. Get into it and get behind it.
Kia's Gear Up and Save event is on now at Kia Vancouver. So come score on most 2015 models with ultra-low weekly payments and 0% financing for 84 months. Plus, get ready for victory with Kia's available winter-ready features. But hurry, this is a limited-time offer. So gear up and save. And remember, only Kia Vancouver gives you free lifetime car washes, oil changes, and free airport shuttle and parking with your new Kia purchase. Kia Vancouver, Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, and KiaVancouver.com.
The family story begins generations ago on Via Tevere, a street in the heart of Naples, where food was the celebration of life. Today, in East Van, Via Tevere Pizzeria Napoletana honors their family heritage with La Vera Pizza Napoletana, pizza that showcases authentic Neapolitan ingredients and the time-honored tradition of wood-fired cooking. Come experience La Vera Pizza Napoletana, true Neapolitan pizza at Via Tevere Pizzeria, 1190 Victoria Drive, and look for the Via Tevere Neapolitan Express food cart around town.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of your pills. Now, more than ever, we need you to help stop the abuse. Last year, thousands of Canadian parents helped us return 44 tons of drugs. It's a good start, but we all need to do more. Return all unused prescription drugs to your pharmacy. Do it now. Save our kids. Visit CanadaDrugFree.org to find out how. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free Canada.
This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on CIL 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
Time now to look at the England scoreboard, brought to you by the Donnelly Group, DonnellyGroup.ca. Simon, if there's something strange in your neighborhood, it's probably you looking around. You have the scores from England.
Yeah, 6 games today in the English Premier League. It was a big win for West Ham United over Manchester City by 2-1. It was Liverpool 0, Hull City 0, Southampton 1, Stoke City 0, Sunderland 0, Arsenal 2, West Bromwich Albion drew 2-2 with Crystal Palace, and Swansea City defeated Leicester City by 2-0. There are 3 games tomorrow: Burnley hosting Everton, Spurs hosting Newcastle, and the big one, Manchester United against Chelsea. And then on Monday, QPR host Aston Villa.
It's time now to check some of the latest headlines from around the globe. Taking a look at the news, notes, and rumors from around the globe, brought to you by Steve Nash Sports Clubs. That's snclubs.com. And I think the biggest news coming out of England was following that West Ham game, Sam Allardyce doing his post-game interview, and, well, he was interrupted by Russell Brand.
They always have a smile on their face because they're where they wanted to be and where they've dreamt to be.
Yes, Sam! Give the man the credit he deserves. Sam Allardyce.
Cheers,
well
mate.
done, Sam.
Well, you can see what it means now, can't we, eh? After that, brilliant.
You can improve your security here, Sam, couldn't you, really? My God, he's achieved something.
Russell Brand's kissing me, I love it.
Russell Brand storming into the post-game interview. Simon, did anybody burst into Carl Robinson and kiss him on the cheek today?
No, not particularly. He did shake all of our hands, the members of the media and whatnot, and probably the best thing was walking into the press room to get the players' quotes, and the music just heavy hip-hop being played, and one Russell Tiber battling with Nathan Vanstone in terms of Nathan trying to unplug it so that we could do our interviews, and Russell wanting to keep the music going.
Simon, will be short time out, but when we return, we've got a very busy second half of the program to come up. We've got audio from the locker room, including Kendall Waston, Carl Robinson, David Osted, and Pedro Morales. Simon Fudge will join us again as we talk more in depth about this Whitecaps game. But up next, we'll talk with expert physios David Sandals. Stephen Beitashour going down with a hamstring injury. How long will he be out? And will that affect his availability for Wednesday's match? We will ask David Sandals about that coming up in just a couple of minutes.
Follow us on Twitter at Soccer Talk 650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on CIL 650.
Kia's Gear Up and Save event is on now at Kia Vancouver. So come score on most 2015 models with ultra-low weekly payments and 0% financing for 84 months. Plus, get ready for victory with Kia's available winter-ready features. But hurry, this is a limited-time offer. So gear up and save. And remember, only Kia Vancouver gives you free lifetime car washes, oil changes, and free airport shuttle and parking with your new Kia purchase. Kia Vancouver, Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, and KiaVancouver.com.
Whether playing soccer on this continent or football on every other, Umbro is the name worn by top players and teams worldwide. Those same uniforms are available for your team or club at Umbro.com. Umbro, proud to be the official supplier of Canada's men's and women's national teams, is celebrating 90 years of expertise in the game. If you want your club to play like the pros, dress them like the pros at Umbro.com. Umbro, the heart and soul of football.
Nearly 70 years ago, Charlie Wolford first started fixing loggers' boots. He did such a good job, loggers said if he'd make boots from scratch, they'd buy them and tell their buddies. Charlie named his brand Dayton, and ever since, Dayton Boots has put the same craftsmanship and love in every pair built right here in Vancouver. Times change, but the quality in every handcrafted pair of Dayton boots never has. Mention Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk and take 10% off Dayton Boots, 2250 East Hastings. Dayton, wear a legend that lasts.
The family story begins generations ago on Via Tevere, a street in the heart of Naples, where food was the celebration of life. Today, in East Van, Via Tevere Pizzeria Napoletana honors their family heritage with La Vera Pizza Napoletana, pizza that showcases authentic Neapolitan ingredients and the time-honored tradition of wood-fired cooking. Come experience La Vera Pizza Napoletana, true Neapolitan pizza at Via Tevere Pizzeria, 1190 Victoria Drive, and look for the Via Tevere Neapolitan Express food cart around town.
Hi, I'm Jack McIver. When it comes to appliance and barbecue parts, McIvers excel with a $300,000 on-site inventory and professional staff to look after your needs. Most times the customer walks out with what they came in for. If not stocked, fast factory orders work well too. McIvers has for over 50 years sold quality appliance parts and service what they sell and do all installations in a professional way. You can trust us. McIvers, we're at 610 Southeast Marine Drive. Call 879-5222 or visit us on the net at McIvers.biz.
The much-awaited warehouse sale is on today and tomorrow, 10 till 5 only.
At Inspiration Furniture's warehouse at 8380 Chester Street in South Van.
Hundreds of items at drastically reduced prices.
Fantastic door crashers.
Everything for dining, living, sleeping, and working at low, low warehouse prices.
Only at Inspiration Furniture's warehouse sale.
And only at their warehouse, 8380 Chester Street, just south of Southeast Marine Drive in Vancouver.
Google it and get here.
You can't miss Inspiration Furniture's warehouse sale. Today and tomorrow, 10 till 5.